Hello everyone. Today we're going to do something different. It's not continuo this time. It's something else. It's something else. It's something else. It's something else. Okay, today we're going to do a little bit of improvisation. Improvisation. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to say this. This came to my mind. I was doing a coaching with a bunch of kids, and everyone's so burnt out right now. I was trying to think of something that was kind of fun, and we could all just kind of root around and make some noise and have a good time. And I was using some improv manuals and stuff. Of course, I bought that Baron Ryder Ortiz book, and we talked about history so that I wouldn't get fired when somebody heard it and they said, hey, you're not doing this. But to tie in some actual history, But then we started to just sort of hack through pieces, and we just started to have fun and push the envelope and kind of go a little bit nuts. It made me realize too something about myself. Is as a classical musician, as a classically trained musician, you are always taught and told it just has to be right and correct, and if it's not right and correct, well, you have to fix it. And I think the big problem with improvisation is it's not right and correct for such a long time. You kind of just have to sound bad for a while and figure it out and figure out what your taste is and what you like and how you react to stuff. And so I've been trying to do that in two ways. I've been, reading all these manuals and going through stuff. And then there's another way that I have also done, and that is using this stuff. We're going to be looking at the 12 toccatas. These are from Scipriani. Scipriani. All right, kind of a big name. But you have our 12 toccatas a solo. The toccata prima. Yes. Toccata prima. Now, I like this one because it's kind of a late piece, and I was listening to it and I was bored playing it because it's kind of a boring piece. And I thought, hey, what if I just threw the kitchen sink at this, threw out all of my taste, no taste, and just kind of went for it. All right. And I kind of practiced with these kids. We used this first little chunk, and I made them I essentially made them improvise in front of everybody on Zoom. So they were very good. They were very good with that. And it was actually a lot of fun. A lot of laughs, a lot of crashes and burns, right? And so this is my version of this. I'm just going to play it. I'm going to play kind of the first paragraph of this. I'm going to play it to you straight, just exactly what's on the page. And then I'm going to play you the piece, my sort of tasteless version. All right, here we go. It's kind of a lot of that. It's really trumpet fanfare. All right, let's get this going. Got my pedal, works. All right, so. Kind of crazy. All right, I almost fell off the cliff a couple times there. Oh man. Okay, so let's just talk about that. Let's talk about my rationale behind some of these choices, and maybe like give you some ideas or some pointers to work with something like this, because it's one thing to just sort of play it, and it's another thing to talk about it. So let's talk. We have here, it's the beginning, an arpeggiated pattern. Now you see I wrote G pedal because it's kind of a G pedal here. Theory buffs, you're probably going to tell me I'm wrong, but it sounds like a G pedal to me. Okay, we have a... We could do something like... Something like that, right? You have to work out the end there. Maybe like that, or... Right? And so you'll notice with this last measure here, I would say because it's going up, because this is going up, we probably want to be going down with our improv, right? Maybe, or the opposite. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? So you notice how this is kind of going down, and so we probably want to be doing something that's going up to get a little bit of little action here, and we can do something a little, right? And so with this, what we're going to probably do here is that's an idea. That's an idea, right? And so you notice when I'm starting to zoom with my bow here, as we've talked about with my continuo series, when you're starting to play fast stuff, you really got to cut the bow usage. You don't want to be going, right? You know, that's like kind of hoedowny. We want, comes from the fingers, not the wrist. Not the wrist. Fingers. Not the wrist. So we go. All right, so that kind of works. That one's a little hard to keep under the fingers, though. As is always, I kind of chose, because it's sort of the opening, I liked this pedal. We get the... Now we could also go like this. Now let's look at this next section. So, we have a couple choices here. We could actually just leave that. That'd be fine. But we could also go. Because why not? Let's throw a chord in there. You know, hey, why not? Or we can go. There you go. That works. Or nah, that's kind of ugly. I mean, that part's kind of hard to deal with because it's so structured. Maybe I like the scale. You see what I mean? You can really push that because it's just kind of a D major figure there. So you can do whatever you want. I would say, though, you kind of want to lead it to that D. So you probably don't want to like go too nuts going into that last D natural there. This guy right there with the down bow over it. Because it has that big pause after it. And then let's like activate solo mode. We go. Right, you know, we got to take that time. So we have this kind of faux D pedal here. Now, when I just performed this, I did this. That sounds a little too modern to me, though. Right? You know? There we go. You could do that, right? So I like to keep this D pedal here, but you could also sub in the thing from before. kind of similar. All right, so I would say approach that similarly. You kind of want to go a little nuts on it. Okay, and then we have a big scale part. All right, now this is the part I like to go nuts here. We go. All right, so we have this kind of arpeggiated pattern. Now, my solution was. And now, hey, let's do a quote here. that might be hard. Yeah. You know, get that Renaissance, whatever that's called. I forget what that's called. We're gonna call it that. The technical term is the. All right. So we have the. All right. That's kind of a more tame approach. Let's tame it a little bit more. Let's try this. Yeah, that's a little bit more tame. You see, I keep going back to the same thing that I wanted before. Probably should try and change that. Yeah, you can go down, right? You can go up, you can go down. Okay, so that part, I would just recommend throwing a whole bunch of scales at the wall and seeing what you can get to stick, honestly. I think that sounded pretty exciting. That's kind of what I was going for. And as always, let's talk about how to do that. So you notice how you can really move this around a lot. Right, it's like a pseudo. What's the something similar to that. Okay, so I would say really keep those things nice and short and tight. Okay, and then we go into this kind of extended pattern here where it's. Now I actually wrote that in because I wanted to make sure I got it right. So. Let's talk about this. I actually like to keep these ones straight. Now and then we can kind of do that little lead in there. You see what I did with the very Bach of me, a very Bach quote of me. All right, so this one. I would say to give a nice little palate cleanser because, you know, we want to actually observe some rules. We want let's like ramp the scale. We're going to do a scale ramp here. Notice how Let's ramp that. So I'm gonna start the ramp a little bit later now. You notice how I stopped the ramp on the C and it doesn't work right. There we go. All right, let's start the ramp right at the beginning. Okay, let's not even ramp at all. Just kind of an energy thing, right? Let's play this a little bit more stately now. Those are the actual notes. I'm gonna play this a little bit before that, a bit more stately. that too. I think that sounds boring though. So what I would want to hear is... Let's try it again. Messy. Messy, but like a good messy. You know what I mean? Now, let's just talk about this. Now, this that sounds kind of lame, right? We could just leave that plain. I kind of like that because, you know, why mess with it? But, you know, hey, if you're going to mess with it, that sounds better, right? Sounds more sounds a little too like on the nose almost. So, and then we have this. Now, let's talk about this part, which I so interesting little Bach bowing. If you can read my terrible handwriting right there. Okay, so now I'm just going to run you through this. And then... So I decided, hey, let's throw some chords in here. So, by the way, for everyone, if you're looking for a new fun way to play those Bach parts, in the third suite, get yourself out to the tip and try this down, down, up, up, or up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. So, right? So what it ends up sounding like is this. Right? I'm not going to play any more of that because I'll probably fall like flat on my face. But you get what I'm saying? Kind of lets you do stuff like that. It's a very Lee thing to do. You know, if you play any Lee etudes, that's all over the place. So let's get this. We go. So we have this kind of ramp, and I like to split it into 3 parts. We have the first part, you notice how I'm making sure to go, right? Let's look at that a little more closely. Let's look at that with my bow hand, though. The more of the bow hand, you notice in this whole exercise here, this is a pretty good bow exercise too. You're lifting your elbow enough to get around, right? And your fingers are controlling the this motion here. And I'm not popping my wrist anything weird. I'm not doing this weird like, right? It's not a whip motion, is it? You notice how my wrist actually, I'm staying pretty pronated into the string this whole time. My wrist stays really neutral the whole time. It's just there to service the connection between these things. And if anything, I'm using my elbow a lot more to get this rolling texture, making sure also that we are going... getting all the notes to be even. And then I start to play around with the making them less even. All right, talking a lot. So, anyways, we have this kind of rolling texture here, and I just sort of listened to them and tried to figure out what the chord was. It's kind of subjective. You could come up with different chords. Right? It's just now, when I get to this end part here, I like to do this. I look down. I'm gonna handle that tritone. Let's build in some part writing or whatever that's called. All right. So after you've kind of figured out what you want to do with this section, I like the chords. I showed you the chords way. You could do scales, whatever you want. I think the rolling chords, though, is pretty fun. I love rolling chords. And then we get into this quiet section, and let's just go nuts. Let's just go nuts. It's just ghost-like texture. Then so you'll notice what I'm doing here is now we have made, it's not so much that we're improvising with our left hand here. Now we're doing a little bit more improvising with our right hand. Texture change. Huge texture change here. We have this, and then I did that in my little thing there. I was flip-flopping whether or not I wanted to do it that way. You could kind of just end it. I like to think about it though, like let's just pull that tempo just to the extreme, right? And then we pop it right back into gear. Now, because we had such a crazy texture beforehand, we're going to couple it with an even crazier texture now. We had the absolute quietest that we can go, so now we're just going to throw as much noise as possible, and if you need to add more noise, open strings, just let it ring. You remember I talked about that super messy tone? Well, now we get to use it, so that's kind of fun. We go... about, just go nuts. Use as much bow as possible. Try and get as much noise, and I like to crest the cadences. We go. Because why not? And then that one, see, here's a fun little bow activity for all of us. What I want to do is I want to squish that noise all together. I want to squish all this noise into that last chord. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to give it a little bit of a zoomed out here. So you'll notice so what I'm doing here is I'm just keeping contact the whole time, and I'm going, but I'm not going, right? I'm going to beat it. And we're going to hold on to this, that last note, the... All right, and then let's just do something fun here at the end, right? We're going to go... Because why not? Why not? You know what I mean? I like to just go nuts on this one. I would say give yourself like an unlimited cadenza here. Just the G major cadenza that ends on or whatever it is. There's a trill there at the end. I would go for it, because why not? So we get the my favorite with the right, something like that, right? We're gonna go. Something simple. That was kind of dumb, but you know, you get the point, right? Ending with the maximum bow chord. So you see, there's a couple different things that you can play with stuff like this. There's bowings, you can add chords, you can add scales, you can change the texture, you can change the texture back, you can throw new things into the soup. And I think the idea is, with continuo, and with other things, especially with this stuff, is that, you know, you're supposed to kind of be doing that anyways. And so I think with this kind of stuff, just go for it. You know, just go for it. I just kind of went for it. Yeah, sure, I fell off the cliff a couple times. Yeah, sure, it kind of cracked a couple notes, but like, who cares? Whatever. It's improv, you know? It's fun. So anyways, I hope that I'm going to link this book in the description, and I hope everyone can spend a little bit of time on something like this over the break, and maybe discover what your improv style is, you know? I still haven't quite figured out what mine is, but hey, we'll see. Thanks for watching. All right, if you like this video, just maybe think about giving me like a thumbs up and a subscribe. I mean, if you didn't like this video, then hey, you know, I'm surprised you made it this far. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.